So, have you ever really wondered what happens to that protein shake after you drink it? We know it's supposed to be for muscle growth, but the actual journey it takes is, well, it's a pretty wild piece of biochemistry. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how your body manages its very own construction crew. We're talking about amino acid metabolism.
To keep things simple, let's start with a really powerful analogy. Just imagine your body is a construction site, especially when you're training. You're constantly breaking down old stuff and rebuilding it stronger. Well, the amino acids from the protein you eat, those are the literal bricks and cement for that whole project.
You see, proteins are just these long chains of amino acids, and they are absolutely essential for repairing all that microscopic damage that happens to your muscle fibers when you work out. And this repair process, it doesn't just patch things up, it actually builds the muscle back stronger. That's why we call protein the undisputed MVP of recovery.
Okay, so picture this. You've crushed your workout, you've had your shake. The protein is officially in your system. But what is the very next step? How does a liquid in your stomach actually become stronger biceps? Well, that's the metabolic road trip we're about to take.
Now, before your body can build anything new, it has to break that protein down into its individual usable parts, those amino acids. And this isn't just taking something apart. It's a supercritical sorting process that decides where every single piece is going to go.
The fancy scientific name for this whole breakdown process is catabolism. Now, it's the destructive phase of metabolism, but don't let that word fool you. It's totally necessary for clearing out the old junk and freeing up raw materials and energy for new growth.
And right here, we hit a massive fork in the road. When one of these amino acids gets broken down, it doesn't just vanish. Nope, it splits into two very different components, and each one has its own unique path to follow.
So, on one side, you've got the amine group. This part contains nitrogen, and you can think of it as the potentially hazardous waste from the construction site. On the other side, you've got the carbon skeleton. Now, this is the good stuff, the valuable, reusable material that can be repurposed for fuel or for new building blocks. So yeah, two parts, two totally different destinies.
Let's follow the path of that amine group first. Because it's packed with nitrogen, the body can't just let it hang around. It's a unique problem that needs its own dedicated trash disposal system.
So what's the big deal, right? Why is this nitrogen-filled piece of the puzzle so problematic for our cells?
Well, when that amine group gets clipped off the amino acid, it can turn into ammonia pretty fast. And ammonia, in any real concentration, is super toxic, especially to our central nervous system. So the body has to neutralize it and get it out, and it has to do it quickly.
So how does our body deal with this toxic problem? It's got this incredibly smart and efficient process that happens mostly in the liver. It's called the urea cycle.
You know, the easiest way to remember the urea cycle is to think of it as a toxic trash truck. It basically drives into the liver, picks up all that dangerous ammonia, safely packages it into a much less harmful compound called urea, and then hauls it to the kidneys to be flushed out. Problem solved.
Okay, the toxic waste is handled. So now let's get back to the other half of that amino acid, the much more useful carbon skeleton. This is where your body gets really productive. So now that it's been stripped of that troublesome nitrogen group, this carbon structure is like a blank check. It's a valuable resource the body can cash in a bunch of different ways, depending on what it needs right then and there. So what are the options?
It all depends on the body's needs. This carbon skeleton can be burned right away for immediate energy. Or if you're already topped up on energy, it can be converted into glucose and stored for later. That's a process called gluconeogenesis. It can even be turned into fats for long-term storage. It is just an incredibly flexible resource.
I know this all might sound like some pretty abstract biochemistry, but trust me, it has huge practical implications for anyone who trains seriously. This is where we link all that science directly to your performance and your recovery.
So just imagine you're deep into a long run or a really tough workout. Your main fuel tanks, your carbohydrate stores, they're starting to run low. Your body, in its amazing wisdom, starts looking for other fuel sources to keep you moving. And get this is the kicker. Research shows that amino acids, by breaking down those carbon skeletons, can contribute up to 18% of the total energy your body uses during long, intense exercise. That is not a small number. That's a significant chunk of fuel coming straight from protein.
And what's more, your muscles don't just grab any old amino acid. They have a special preference for a group called branched-chain amino acids, or BCAAs. What makes them so special is that, unlike most other amino acids that have to go to the liver first,
BCAAs can be used for energy directly inside the muscle itself. We're talking fast-acting fuel.
And that right there brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. Protein isn't just some passive building material that sits on the sidelines waiting for construction to start. It is an active fuel source, ready to jump in when your body needs it most. It literally both builds the engine and helps provide the fuel.
All right, let's do a quick rapid-fire review to lock this in. Amino acids, they're your muscle's building blocks. They split into two parts, the amine group and the carbon skeleton. The amine group becomes toxic ammonia, which gets handled by our toxic trash truck, the urea cycle. The carbon skeleton gets recycled for energy, glucose, or fat. And the main point, protein is both a builder and a fuel.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Your body is constantly making a choice. It can either build with protein or it can burn it for fuel. Now that you know how it all works, how is your next meal going to influence that choice? It's definitely something to think about.